village of Whalley has been known variously across history as the unpronounceable Whalley in 798. That's from the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, the authors of which were even more inventive when it came to spelling than the commentators on Facebook. Whalley in 1182, Walliga in 1183, Wallaliga in 1211, amusingly, perhaps, Wall-I in 1245, Qualley in 1257, Whalley, and Whalley. I could go on, but we're all getting bored now. Work began on the abbey in 1296, and typical of British workers, it's still not finished. Obviously that last bit's not true. Charles II did all that destruction to it by way of completing Henry VIII's dissolution. He was a bit of a prat, really. As it was being erected, Gregory de Northbury, aka the Abbot of Stanlaw, along with 20 of his favourite monks, they were Cistercians by the way, which always sounded like a bladder infection to me, stayed in the old parsonage next door, which gives you some idea of how old the church is, until the abbey was completed. Presumably their caravan was out on loan. Stanlaw Abbey suffered from a bit of a damp problem, i.e. it kept getting flooded, so a change of scenery was probably a good idea. The first stone was laid on the morrow of St. Barnabas, which is the 12th of June apparently, in 1296, by somebody called Henry de Lacy. That must have stung his backside. I bet he squawked like a hen laying an ostrich egg. Stay tuned folks, I'll be here all week. According to the Victoria County History, or something, my notes are all mixed up, a great part of the abbey was consecrated by Thomas, Bishop of Withern, in 1306. Said great part didn't include the Frater. Don't ask, I haven't got a clue. Or the monk's daughter. Again, seriously, I don't know. I'm assuming it's not just a misspelling of daughter, otherwise that would be very unfortunate. It seems that the monks liked fishing. They stored their fishing rods in a house on Church Lane. Exactly what the owners of said house thought about that, history doesn't record. Not that Cistercians had it easy. They weren't allowed sheets on their beds or shirts. They slept in itchy woolen dresses, and cleanliness wasn't considered a virtue, which basically meant they stank, as a consequence of which skin diseases amongst them were rife. Not that everyone in the abbey's employ had it so rough. Records reveal that the monks consumed in 1 year alone 200 quarters of meat, 150 quarters of malt, 8 pipes of wine, 132 oxen and cows, 120 sheep, 60 calves, 30 lambs and 4 pigs, 3/5 of which ended up at the abbot's table. What a greedy fat bastard. In the 14th century, a hermitage was added to the grounds because hermits always lent a touch of class to such establishments. Said hermitage was founded in 1361 and discontinued in 1440 due to nefarious reasons. A certain female recluse called Isabel de Heaton, along with her 2 maidservants, was the last hermit to live there. It was her job to pray for the soul of the king. Not bad work if you can get it. If 3 women living together doesn't sound particularly hermetic, then it must have sounded even less so when all 3 of them were discovered to somehow have gotten miraculously pregnant. This brings a whole new meaning to the term lay brother. Understandably, perhaps, Isabel was hauled before the ecclesiastical court and the hermitage was demolished. Because nothing extols the spirit of Christianity like throwing 3 pregnant women onto the streets. Next door to Whalley Abbey stands the old church of St Mary and All Saints, where during the reign of Elizabeth I, George Dobson was the vicar. He's worth a mention because, as A Window on Whalley by Jimmy Fell puts it, he was described as a vicar of note, not because of his achievements, but because of his deviations from the accepted clerical role. In 1557, his increasingly dissatisfied parishioners submitted a petition to the Bishop of Chester, alleging that the good Reverend Dobson frequently visited the Ale. That was the name of an ancient pub nearby, now long lost to the pages of history, where he danced with a full jug upon his head, at which sport he excelled all others. Just imbibing the Holy Spirit, no doubt. I'll get me at. There are 3 ancient crosses in the churchyard. Saxon, no doubt. Another one once stood on the bowling green. This latter was secretly destroyed one night circa 1630 under the authority of Richard Craven of Dinkley. Of course, you can't go round pulling down pagan relics like that without some sort of paranormal payback. The next morning, the bowlers found the cross lying on their green and asked one of the blokes responsible to remove it. Unfortunately, once he'd stood it back upright, it fell down again and fatally crushed him. No doubt it was the talk of the Whalley Over 60s Crown Green Bowls Club for the next few months. Speaking of paranormal activities, the last abbot of Whalley, John Paslew, was executed on March the 10th, 1537, for his part in the Pilgrimage of Grace. His ghost is said to haunt the abbey grounds. Plain chant, which presumably is the sound that the monks make when they're learning their times tables, has also been said to emanate from the ruins. Coincidentally, before he became one himself, Abbot Paslew also witnessed a ghost. A note, written in Latin, found in the Cottonian manuscript, reads, AD 1520, May 9th, died Edmund Howard, monk of Whalley. The same, after his death, appeared a certain knight to Master John Paslew, abbot of the monastery, and foretold to him that he had 16 years and not more to live. We'll let you do the maths. On which predictive note, click like, or not, whatever you want, subscribe perhaps, and we'll do our best to meet up again next week, same time, same place.